Good morning. We're here with John Crouse. We're with CLRC, Citizens for a Livable Ralston Community, and John is one of the finalists for the Arvada City Council District 1 open seat. So we'd like to talk to John and give him an opportunity to discuss why he wants to be a city councilor and tell us a little bit about himself. So, John, would you just talk to us a bit about yourself and why you feel like you'd be a good councilor?
Sure. Well, my family and I moved to Arvada in 1999, and we live in the Lake Arbor neighborhood. And so since I've moved here, I've really looked for opportunities for ways to serve the community and kind of help guide the future of Arvada. We love the community here. I have an 11-year-old son that goes to school at Little Elementary. And so we've really tried to do things that kind of help guide the future of the city. So I served as the Lake Arbor Homeowners Association president for a number of years. A lot of issues up in the northeast part of Arvada that the 1,000 homes of Lake Arbor were very interested in. We have some city land up there that the future of which has been under discussion for a very long time. So we've been involved in kind of help guiding that. Spent 7 years on the Arvada Planning Commission, and I think through that have really been able to learn some of the issues that really affect all of Arvada. And so getting involved in the development that's going on the west side, some of the opportunities for redevelopment on some of the older parts of the city. And it's really been an education into the kind of the history of Arvada, how it was built, how it was developed, and where it might go in the future. So the opportunity to serve on city council, I think, would allow me to take some of the things I've learned in planning commission and other groups and really be able to help make decisions that guide the city as a whole and help shape its future. And I think that's something I would really like to do.
Outstanding. So we are based in District 3, but we find a lot of parallels, we think, between District 3 and District 1. If you look at the socioeconomic sort of breakdown of District 3 and District 1, they're pretty similar. One of the topics that's important to our neighborhoods is neighborhood revitalization. And we feel like that's the case in District 1 and District 3.
It is.
Can you talk about what you think about that topic and what is the city's role in your mind in neighborhood revitalization?
Well, I think it is one of the, if not the most important issue that Arvada is going to face over the next 10 to 15 years. And what's going on right now in Arvada is you have this enormous amount of development going on still on the west side. Along the Indiana Avenue corridor, we have Candelas, we have the Leiden development, and the other parts of the city, District 1 and District 3 in particular, the neighborhoods there are, they're reaching 40, 50, 60 years old in many cases. And I think there's a potential that if we don't do something that we're going to end up with two Arvadas. We're going to end up with new Arvada on the west and old Arvada in the east. And I think that wouldn't be good for the city. So I think looking at these older neighborhoods, one of which that I live in, and a lot of the neighborhoods in District 3, I think the city has to take an active role in helping make sure that they keep up with the newer parts of Arvada that are being built now. So I think there are things that the city can do. I mean, there's a challenge to what is possible for the city to do with these residential neighborhoods that that change hands and owners come and go. I think the things the city can do is I think the city needs to ensure that these older neighborhoods remain desirable, and there's some ways that they can do that. The city needs to ensure that these older neighborhoods have the same kind of amenities that some of the newer neighborhoods have. So the parks and opportunities for recreation and things like that, we need to make sure that we have those same kind of amenities in the older parts of the city that we have in the new. I think the other thing the city can do is infrastructure and making sure that just the basic roads and streets and bridges and other city infrastructure stays up to date. There are things that the city can do with regards to even law enforcement and code enforcement. People have to know that these neighborhoods are safe and they're going to be well kept so that they're encouraged to invest money in them. Because at some point along the way, people are going to have to invest in these older neighborhoods. There's a lot of things happening in Arvada, I think, that will make these neighborhoods very desirable. You know, we have light rail coming in. We have the redevelopment here along Ralston Road. We have things going on in Old Town. We have the transit-oriented development that's going to happen along the stations.
Sure.
So there's a lot to make some of these older neighborhoods more desirable, but people have to be willing to invest in them so that they keep up. And the city needs to ensure that, you know, people know that the city cares about those neighborhoods and is going to encourage that redevelopment. But it's tough. You know, there's housing stock in some of these older neighborhoods that were built, you know, in the 50s and early 60s that are difficult to update at times. But if people feel that, you know, these are quality places to live and are close to things that they want to take advantage of, they're going to be willing to invest in that housing stock, update it, and keep it up with the rest of the city. And I think, you know, that's what the city has to focus on. The Planning Commission right now is in the process of rewriting or updating the city master plan. And yeah, that is a tool that the city can use, again, to help guide some of that reinvestment, make sure, kind of make clear what the city's policies are for that kind of revitalization. And that's one of the things that I'm really focusing on in my role on the Planning Commission in updating that code and that plan, is making sure that it addresses the older parts of the city, not just be a guide for new development. Because again, in District 1 and District 3, there's little or no really real estate left for new development. It's going to be all about redevelopment.
Sure. So here in District 3 specifically, and along Ralston Road, we have a lot of overlapping projects. We have a potential Ralston Corridor project. There was a Ralston Corridor plan that was not adopted by the city, but was put together by staff. We have redevelopment in the Triangle area, which we're really close to right now. We've got a new park going up. We've got a potential for maybe a new small community rec center here in the Triangle. Can you tell us what you know about those and which of them you sort of support and how how you feel about them? And then as the sort of the south side of Ralston Road, the Triangle area is decided, but the north side is not. What would what could you see there, and what would you like to see there?
Well, I've been very involved in a lot of the initiatives along Ralston Road in my role on the Planning Commission. So I think part of the challenge is there are a lot of things going on, as you say, and one of the struggles I think that the city faces at times is keeping all of those things kind of headed in the same direction. So there's a lot of things that happen, through the Urban Renewal Authority, through the Planning Department. You've got private investment in some of these areas, and kind of keeping that all moving towards a common goal, I think, is a real challenge. I think clearly one of the challenges for the city is making sure that we have a vital commercial area where people can come, and it has the kinds of shops and amenities that people look for when they're out spending their money. Because one of the challenges that Arvada faces is that if we don't provide those kinds of opportunities for groceries and other kinds of shopping, then those sales tax dollars are going to go to Westminster, or they're going to go to Wheat Ridge, or they're going to go to Broomfield, and that's money that the city then doesn't have available to do the kinds of things that I think we would all like to see. So I think having a vital commercial corridor is really critical to kind of the ongoing health of the city. I think all of these things can come together to make that happen. Now, one of the things that from the city's side that they've really been pushing, as you say, for the north side of Ralston Road, is this idea of mixed use. There's kind of a push towards mixed use developments that are slightly higher density maybe than what we're used to in Arvada. And there's a lot of folks that feel that kind of that's the future for these kinds of areas. I think that kind of remains to be seen. I'm really one that feels that the market needs to drive those kinds of decisions. It's great to have those kinds of visions for the city, but people have to be willing to build them, people have to be willing to live in them, people have to be willing to shop in them. And I think there is at times a little bit of a disconnect between, I think, what the city would like to see go in and maybe what people are used to and what they'll support. And the only thing that's really going to drive that is the market. The people are going to decide, do I want to shop in those kinds of areas? Are they going to have the kinds of amenities? Are they going to buy the condos and residential properties that the city would like to see as part of these developments? And I don't know. one of the things that really struck me as we were, as we took public input on the redevelopment next door, was someone came in and said, this just kind of sounds like Belmar. And if I had wanted Belmar, I'd have bought in Belmar. But I wanted to live in Arvada because I wanted to live in a city that has mature residential neighborhoods and has a yard and has parks and all the things that I want when I raise my family. So I think keeping that kind of vision for what it can be in line with what the residents and the citizens of Arvada want to see, I think is a challenge. And I think the more public involvement and the more opportunities for people to give their opinion and be involved in that process, I think the better that will be. And I think that's an important role that the City Council and the Planning Commission and others need to make sure is there, that they can listen to people and say, we have our vision, but is it the same vision that the citizens and the residents want to see? I think that's really important.
Very good. So that's sort of the end of the questions we have. What we'd like to know, is there anything else that people should know about you as you apply and or perhaps successful as an applicant for the City Council?
Sure. Well, I think there's a number of things that, in my mind, that really kind of give me the opportunity to step into the role and be effective very quickly. It's certainly being able to work with the city staff over the last 7 years on the Planning Commission, working directly with the City Council in a lot of areas. As you know, in our role with Planning Commission, we listen to the public input, and what we do is make a recommendation to City Council. And then City Council has the ultimate decision on many of the things that we do. So being able to kind of work in that environment and being able to work with the staff and with the City Council, I think, I kind of understand how it works and can jump in and be effective very quickly. I think the other thing that I bring is what I do in my professional life is I work with a lot of, particularly state government, and helping them making the programs that they run more efficient and run more smoothly. So a lot of the things that the City Council has to deal with as far as how to structure a budget and how to make department decisions and how to implement programs that move these different goals further is something that I do in my professional life, and I think I've been able to, has served me well in the ways that I've served the community. So I think my interest in making Arvada a better place, my interest in seeing that government runs efficiently and serves the people, I think come together and give me an opportunity to be effective very quickly and step into the role and help guide the future of Arvada.
Outstanding. We'd like to thank Mr. Crouse and Keith and Lynn here at the Printery for having us here this morning. And we wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.